turned to yoga almost 20 years ago as a business proposition and has become a leader in the industry locally and beyond. She owns the Yogic Wisdom Studio at Boolaroo and is a New South Wales representative for industry body Yoga Australia. Kym's passionate about changing people's misunderstanding of yoga as just a fitness class and about making yoga inclusive for all. She's working to build the Hunter as a hub for yoga and has brought yoga teacher training and yoga therapy training to the region. She's at the forefront of using yoga therapy to assist people with health issues and disabilities. Prior to establishing her business, she worked in corporate roles, including managing a large call centre. Kym's also a workplace coach, trainer and assessor. Welcome, Kym. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
To begin, could you tell us a little bit about your career path?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I started as a fitter and turner. So I started at Liddell Power Station. I just finished it at year 10, and I grew up on a farm, so I didn't feel like it was that unusual really, because there was equality there definitely between my parents and what they did on the farm. So I finished my qualification as fitter and turner. I did a lot of drafting after that and engineering sales. I sort of fell into the contact centre industry, a local business here that's really successful these days, which is Wine Selectors. And I started there as their sales, and then I started doing training, and I really fell into something that was really natural and wonderful for me. I felt energised by it. I sort of went from there, starting my own training company and working with the long-term unemployed and Indigenous and particularly single parents, and did that Australia-wide. Got Australia Day Award for that from the local council, which was fantastic. And from there I started to study yoga, and more that became something that of interest to me, that I could see the benefits, and I wanted to give that back to people in the community. So I started my own yoga studio whilst I was consulting locally in the contact centre communication industry. And I started doing yoga teacher training. We're doing that for 4 years now, so we've trained over 100 people in the Hunter in yoga teacher training skills. They come as far as the Central Coast as well. So that's where we're at now. So now I do that full time because we just brought on another qualification. So that's the career path to date in a nutshell.
What do you think the characteristics of a good entrepreneur are?
I had a little... Yeah, if I think about that, I think a great sense of sharing would be one of the first ones for me. A good entrepreneur knows that when they have a gift of something to share, to really put it out there and have the courage to do that. And not to necessarily look and copy what others are doing, and that might go against what other people say about entrepreneurship, but I think you need to listen to the voice that's inside you and really follow that. And really look at the courage that requires to do that. Sometimes you're swimming against the grain of what other people might be doing, but listen to that and continue to go.
Kym, one of your mantras is that the mind should be a servant, not your master. So how can yoga help leaders?
That's a really good question. In yoga, that is the goal. The pointy end of yoga is about getting the mind to be the servant, not the master. So, for example, if you're waking up during the night and worrying and stressing about what's going on at work, then the mind is your master, not your servant. So, unfortunately, yoga's taken a bit of a turn as far as seen as an exercise out in the mainstream these days, but authenticity around yoga and what's the best path to follow to get that mind to be the servant is to follow what we call a vinyasa krama. Now, vinyasa krama is a logical sequence, the same as if you're going to bake a cake or you're going to do anything, there's a logical sequence you go into. So for yoga to be able to get you to that pointy end, it's about first of all doing the movement, which we would know as asana, which is what most people would see yoga to do, and it can be modified to suit anybody's shape, age, health conditions completely. And then from there, really noticing the breath, which we call pranayama. So it could be sitting and noticing the inhale and the exhale, which mindfulness is really supporting a lot of people in business this day. It really helps with the mind. And then that leads us naturally in the meditation. So if a leader is really giving themselves that opportunity to take that time out to exercise, listen to the breath and to meditate, it will help their mind become more and more obedient to what you want it to do with the breath. So if we're practicing that daily, like a personal practice is really what we recommend, a leader is able then to stay in the moment. So stay in the moment no matter who you're with. So if you're with your staff or you're with your customers or you're with a process or a concept or an idea, that you're fully there. You're not thinking about the next task or wherever else you need to be, because then your mind has got away from you.
What's good about doing business in the Hunter?
Sharing. The good thing about the Hunter is everybody is really open to sharing and to, they say Newcastle's a city, but they also say that it's still very much like a town. And that's completely the feel. Like I know all my neighbours, I know all my customers, I know them by name. And there's a real intimacy that comes with that gives your business a real depth. That's what I love about the Hunter.
To finish today, Kym, what local business person do you find inspiring?
I have a few actually. Start with is Cheryl Royal, who runs the Young Entrepreneurs. I've known Cheryl for 20 years and we work side by side doing some programs with Indigenous youth and single parents, and she just doesn't stop, and she's just so passionate about what she does. She has a lot of courage and she gives back. So that leads into my next couple of people as well, is people that really give back to the community. And another one that comes to mind is Matt Leonard, who has started an organisation or a group which I belong to, which is Collective Heart, and all businesses come together and from making small donations and coming together and being motivated and inspired by local businesses doing wonderful things, giving back. And then Heidi Alexandra. Heidi I've had the pleasure of working with for a couple of years, and Heidi does a lot for businesses, bringing love into the boardroom and into the workplaces, but also she gives a lot back to the community as well, and she's a Got Your Back Sister and a lot of other charities that she works with, and so I tend to really admire people who really pay it forward.
That's lovely. Thank you so much for your time today, Kym.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Holly.